The Grow Your Wealth Conference is almost here. If you're a seasoned or aspiring entrepreneur ready to elevate your business and personal finances by learning from experienced, impactful, world-class entrepreneurs, then this conference is for you. Grow Your Wealth is happening over 2 days in Kingston, Jamaica, with unique speakers, business networking opportunities, actionable teachings, a business pitch competition, and access to an engaged community. So save the date and get your tickets now. Tickets and more information are available at learngrowinvestconference.com.
All right, let's get this started. So welcome to our Start Your Own Business Challenge here on Learn, Grow, Invest. This is a 3-day challenge, and I'll tell you, there's so many things I wanted to cover in 3 days, but I thought I just focus on maybe the areas where I find as I work with entrepreneurs, they maybe struggle the most, or they may have the most questions, I'd say. So we're going to cover some very specific areas that I'll get to in a moment. And just to let you know, this challenge was actually inspired by our Grow Your Wealth conference coming up. So we actually have something interesting while this challenge is happening. We'll be having a special on tickets for the Grow Your Wealth conference. So for those who are subscribed to our mailing list, we actually sent you an email earlier today with this challenge and the link to a very special price. So we have 3 ticket types for the Grow Your Wealth conference. It's a month away, and you have the chance to get tickets to go online, in person, or VIP. So if you check that email, so if you're not a part of our mailing list, just send us a DM on social media and we'll send you that special price for the tickets, but you have to purchase your tickets within the 3 days. Once the challenge ends, you'll have to either take the early bird pricing, which is still a great price, or you'll have to watch to see if we have any other specials leading up to the conference. All right, but Grow Your Wealth Conference is a sponsor for this challenge. And what we're going to be teaching you through the challenge, of course, we are going to point you to the conference as a place to be able to get more information. So hope that helps. So let me explain what we're going to be doing over the 3 days. So we're going to focus on some key areas. If you remember our video a couple of weeks ago about investing and entrepreneurship being the key to building wealth, I spoke about the fact that, most of, like 90% of what we discuss here on Learn, Grow, Invest is about investing. But there's a side of it that we're actually going to be talking about more, and that's running your own business. So when you think about it, when you invest, you're actually investing in a business. So what I think we should focus more on is the opportunities that are there to generate our own income. Because as much as you can make from an investment, you can make exponentially more. Well, as much as you can make from investing, you can make exponentially more running your own business. All right, so we're going to cover 4 areas. So tonight we're going to talk about registering a company. We're going to start with registering a company in the US, because I've been answering so many questions about how to do that lately. And of course, I always point people to Stephen. So Stephen is the one who's going to be talking about that. So registering in the US, and then I'll cover how to register a business in Jamaica. And then tomorrow we'll talk about some accounting principles and legal considerations when starting a business. And then on day 3, we'll talk about how to create your brand identity. All right, so we'll have persons who are joining us as special guests throughout the 3 days to help us to get to make progress in these areas. So let me, without any further delay, get started. So before we get into starting a business, I actually want to ask you a very specific question, right? And that is why, right? So I actually, before you get into registering, I really want you to think about why you don't want to do that. And for different people, it's different things. I know that for me, when I first started my business back in 2003, well, when I registered in 2003, I was thinking that I had this skill, I had this service that I was providing, and it was actually the idea of a friend of mine to register, because at the time I'd be able to get special pricing from a supplier if I'd registered that company. So you really want to think about why you want to register. And I was actually answering this question over the weekend from a friend who is running a business, but then she wanted to actually take the step to register. So we spoke about what are some of the things that she would have to consider. So I really want to answer this question, because when you get to a point in entrepreneurship where you have challenges, if you don't know why you're doing it, it may be more of a struggle than it needs to be. So after you answer the question why, you want to think about if you have a product or service that you believe is valuable. And it doesn't have to be valuable to everybody, but it has to be valuable to enough persons where you can provide it profitably and still be able to take care of everything that you need to take care of, right? And there are many variations of running a business. You could be doing it full-time or part-time. It could be for profit, non-profit. It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong. Of course, there are special considerations when you're doing each, but the point is it has to be valuable to someone. Someone has to be willing to pay for it, and you have to find an efficient and effective way of delivering that product or service. And next, you want to think about the niche or the specific set of clients that you're serving. Again, this can be very specific. As you know, we do have a company called L.E.A.R.N Invest Limited. We serve a very specific set of clients. We work with, for example, companies that want to create annual reports. So that's one of the services that we provide. That's a very specific set of clients. Not everybody needs an annual report, but there are customers out there that we provide this service to. They deem it as valuable. We're very competitive in our space. And so it's something that we've been finding more efficient ways of delivering that service. And so that's an example of finding a niche to serve. Because usually when it's something that you're trying to appeal to everybody, you usually have to make the price lower, because there's usually a lot of persons in that space. And then what I like to say to new entrepreneurs is that if you have an idea, try and find at least, I'd say minimum 5 persons that are willing to pay for that product or service, right? I get pitches or pitch decks all the time of persons saying, I have this great idea, I'm looking for investment. One of the questions I'll ask is, have you found a customer? Is anybody willing to pay for this product or service that you're now asking for money to fund? And in some cases, persons will say no, but it's going to do really well. There's no reason why people wouldn't want this product or service. But the truth is, if you haven't found anybody to pay for it, then you haven't really validated that idea. So I would say find 5 persons minimum who aren't friends or family, because depending on the price, friends or family may be willing to just support you, to patronize you. And after you've made all this investment of time to serve everybody else, you find out that it wasn't really a great idea, but your friends or family just wanted to make you feel good, right? And then finally, you want to spend time researching and understanding those 5 persons who took the time to spend money with you, right? There's a lot more I could cover, but those are the 5 things that I wanted to just mention to you before you get to the point of registering, right? So we're going to talk about that process now, but allow me to welcome Stephen. So Stephen, as I said, is a person who I've been sending persons to whenever they ask me how to register a company in the US. So I'm
Yeah.
happy he was available to join me here tonight. Stephen, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. So just spend like 2 minutes introducing yourself and what you do, and then we can get into presentation.
Hey, you're putting me on the spot, but let me try and sum it up. All right. So I'm Stephen. I'm a freelancer. Let's get that out there. And I also do consultation for those who want to register their LLC in the US. Outside of that, I'm a digital marketer, focusing more on the content marketing side of digital marketing, because digital marketing is such a wide topic. So right now I'm focusing on the content side of digital marketing, helping clients to get the best out of their content, using copywriting, video content to grow their personal brands as well as their businesses.
All right, thank you for that. That works. All right, so Stephen is going to be taking us through the process of registering a company in the US. And again, I'll say that Stephen helped me register Learn, Grow, Invest US LLC. So I tried to do it on my own year one, and I found what I thought to be the most expensive platform. And then when I needed to renew and I'm looking at the cost, I'm like, I
Yeah.
cannot afford to do it this way. So I
Hmm.
reached out to Stephen. He gave me an option that cost about 80% less. And so I registered using that option, and I was able to file my annual report through some simple videos he sent to me.
Yeah.
And the whole process took me maybe 2 hours max. Right. So this is a guy to speak to, and over to you, Stephen.
Yeah. So let me get it out there. I've worked with two companies that are in the business of LLC formations in the US. So I think I know a thing or two about helping people to get the best out of their money, when registering their LLC. And let's not sugarcoat it. These companies are in it to make money. That's their primary goal. And their secondary goal is to help you. So I want to give you the best advice so that you can, make the best decisions when registering your business in the United States. So let me get ready with my presentation. And it's quite easy for foreigners to form an LLC in the US. So it's not as complicated as some might make it out to be. And a lot of things has happened in the last 10 years in terms of changes in regards to setting up the entire process of a business in the United States. So the first thing that we're going to look at is, why should you create a US LLC? What makes a US LLC attractive to foreign entrepreneurs? And there are tons of entrepreneurs from across the world who are stepping into the American market to register their LLC. So the first point is to access the world's largest consumer market, right? You also have credibility with US based clients, limited liability protection, tax benefits, easy to open a business bank account. I think this is the number one question that a lot of persons ask. How can I open a business bank account? And you have payment processors like PayPal and Stripe. It will be easy for you to get your funds in that regard. Now, I'll try and break them down as best as possible. But we know the US is a consumer based society. So it is very easy to tap into the market and to get customers within the market. Whether you are a consultant or a virtual assistant or you're selling on Amazon, America is your go to place to get the best results. Now let's jump over to the next slide. Who can form a US LLC? So any non-resident or foreign national can form and own a US LLC. And you don't need to be physically present in the US. And this does not require US citizenship or a green card. However, let me say I'm not an immigration consultant, but there are certain businesses that you can start that can lead you towards American um, residency, put it that way. But you would need to speak with an immigration consultant on that, or a lawyer, for them to give you the best advice on that, not me. So let's jump to the next slide. So the key steps for forming an LLC as a foreign resident. So the first thing you need to do is research. So even though I don't have it there, but you need to research. And you need to choose a state. So the best state for foreign residents, Wyoming and Delaware, because of their benefits. And you want to add Nevada to this as well. The next thing you want to do is to appoint a registered agent. So this guide is basically if you're doing it by yourself. So you'd also need to appoint a registered agent. And the registered agent must be physically present in the US, and it cannot be a post office box. It must be a physical address where someone goes in person to well, where someone is available in person to collect whatever document is left at the address. So after you appoint a registered agent, now you'll need to file the articles of organization or the articles of incorporation. Different states use different names. So you need a registered agent address in order to file the articles of organization with the state. The fourth thing that you'll do is obtain an employer identification number, EIN, and this is provided by the IRS. So if you decide to use somebody, which platform I've seen people charge for the EIN. If you decide to go on a platform like Fiverr.com or Upwork, and somebody's charging you for the EIN, you need to run. You need to turn the opposite direction and run as fast as possible, because getting the EIN is free, and it's something you can easily do by going on the IRS's website and downloading the form and then faxing. As a foreign resident, you would need to send the application by fax, unless you have a what's the name again? A social security number. So if you have a social security number, you can apply directly online through the IRS's website. If not, you have to download the SS4 form, fill it out, sign it, and then fax it to the IRS. Now, when it is faxed to the IRS, it usually takes between 7 business days up to, I'm going to give based on my experience, 3 months. And reason being why I said 3 months, there are certain times of the year when the IRS experiences delays, such as during tax season. So during the months of March and April, there's a huge backlog. So the EIN application can take a while at that point as well. There's also a delay during December, as the IRS tends to go on a break during that point, the leading right up to the Christmas period. During that Christmas week, they tend to go on break and do some system upgrades. So the application for the EIN might be slowed down during that period. If you worked in the US on one of those summer programs back in the day and you got a social security number, yes, you can use that to open your get your EIN from the IRS. And the final step is to open a US bank account. Now, way back when, you had to physically travel to the US to get this done, but now with modern technology, it's easily can be done easily online. So you don't need to travel physically to the US. You can use platforms like Mercury, Relay, Nova, but I'll get through that in another slide. Now, types of LLC. There basically 3 types of LLC. The single member LLC, which is owned by one person, individual or an entity. A multi-member LLC, which is owned by 2 individuals or more, and a series LLC. So let me break it down, and I'm going to use Jermaine and L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest as example here. So the single member LLC, Jermaine can be the sole owner of that single member LLC in the US. Also, the company, the Jamaican company, L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, can be the single owner of a single member LLC. Also, Jermaine can do it this way, where Learn, Grow, Invest owns 50%, and he himself owns another 50%. That's in regards to the multi-member LLC. Now, the series LLC is where you set up a main LLC and then you open different LLCs. You open the same business in different states, especially if you're like a restaurant. So you might open a restaurant in Florida and then you want to expand it to New York. So you would do a series LLC in order to open that expansion of your business in New York compared to creating a brand new LLC in New York. All right, let's jump to the next slide. Where's my pointer? Wait, go back. So no, the roles in the LLC. And I like to brag, and Jermaine might challenge me on this one, where I say it's easier to register a business in the US than in Jamaica. And we're talking about a company, not sole trader. Now, LLC has managers and the members. So the members are the owners of the LLC, while the managers are responsible for the day-to-day operations of the business. If it's a single member LLC, you can be the manager as well as the member, right? And let's use Learn, Grow, Invest as example. Jermaine could be the member of the US LLC and then appoint me as the manager, right? So I wouldn't get any of the ownership rights in regards to that. Now, the members participate in the day-to-day operations, and this is suitable for small businesses. And the manager manage LLC members appoint managers to run the business, and this is ideal for passive investors. Now, let's jump on to the next slide and look at the responsibilities of the managers and the members. So the member, as I said, owns the LLC. They also share the profits and losses, and they can actively manage or remain passive investors. They also have voting rights unless otherwise specified. So the managers are responsible for running the day-to-day operations, making major decisions, and may or may not be a member. Now let's run on to the next slide. Now, some of the top niches for foreign entrepreneurs are forming an LLC within the US. And the number one is e-commerce. Everybody does this. Well, not everybody, but most people. And this is through Amazon. So, you would go on Amazon, but before that, you would set up the LLC and then you do the Amazon side of the business to get started. Now, a lot of persons who are in the software industry selling software as a service, they also open US LLCs. Those who focus on digital marketing and SEOs, IT and software development, consulting and coaching, affiliate marketing, freelancers, online courses, cryptocurrency and blockchain, and drop shipping. Now, earlier I mentioned that one of the reasons why persons prefer to use or to create a US LLC is that your target audience trust you more when you have a US business, right? So you could have your business in Jamaica for 20 years. They won't trust it unless it's in the US. Some might trust it, right? Don't get me wrong, some people might trust it, but majority of them prefer if it's in the US. Another thing with the US is the banking option. So it's easier to move money within the US than doing international wire transfers and all of that. So look into these reasons when you're starting your US business. Now let's jump onto the next slide and the business bank account option for foreigners. Where can LLC owners open a US bank account? Now, let's make it clear. If you are still in Jamaica or Trinidad or Ghana, you cannot open a bank account remotely with Chase Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or any of those big American banks. Those you'll have to physically travel to the US and open your bank account with them. Now, the online options are Mercury, which I use. Relay is another good option, and Novo. And there are some other smaller ones popping up, but it's good to do your research and to ensure that you find the one that's best for you. Now, um, one of the changes that they've made recently, when when I was working for these LLC formation companies and when I had my LLC, well, when I started it, because I still have it, you could use your registered agent address as the business address, right? But due to changes now, and the banks realize that 1,000 people have the same registered agent address, business address, they've decided to stop that. So for the banking side, when they ask you for your business address, you need to give them your address in your home country. So if your business has a physical address in Jamaica, you can use that. Otherwise, you can use your home address. There's nothing wrong with using your home address to open your business bank account in the US. That's what I did. So let's jump to the next slide. Now, going back to the states, Wyoming or Delaware for your LLC. What makes these states so attractive? So for Wyoming, no state income tax, as well as low fees and high privacy for owners, and strong asset protections. And when it says privacy for owners, your name isn't listed on public records. So in some states, when you register a LLC, it will be clear that Stephen Stanberry is the owner of the LLC. So Delaware and Wyoming, sorry, Wyoming is one of those places where it's private and nobody will know your business. They'll just see the name of the entity and the registered agent address, and that's it. Now, as for Delaware, this is business friendly, with a legal system, no sales tax, no personal income tax for non-residents, and global recognized corporate laws. Now, it is important to note, I didn't add it here, but if you have an LLC and you plan to convert it to a corporation, a C corp, then Delaware is the best option for that, right? But if you're just going to remain an LLC all the days of your life, then work with Wyoming. All right, let's jump to the next slide. Benefits of forming a US LLC. So, based on some statistics, more than 32 million small businesses operate in the US, contributing to over 44% of US economic activity. And this was produced by the US Small Business Administration. So the key points: personal asset protection, right? Simple management and flexible structure, pass-through taxation, global trust and recognition. So as I mentioned, once you have a US business, people by default just trust you more. Next slide. What about taxes? No, I'm not an accountant, so I cannot give you tax advice, but I'll give you advice based on my own experience and what I know. So, will you need to pay US taxes? That's I think that's the second question outside of banking. This is the second most popular questions that a lot of persons ask. And the easy answer is to find out your tax relationship, or the tax agreement between the US and your home country. So every country has a different agreement with the IRS. Now, LLC profits are taxed on US sourced income only. Now, this might sound confusing when it says US, because this came up um, for me some months ago, or probably a year, in regards to banking. So I got a notification in my email stating something about declaring my US whatever, whatever, whatever. And I spoke to the bank and told them that I'm not physically in the US. While I earn income from US sources, all of this income is generated online. No. So this line, the first line in my pointers here, if you're physically on US soil, right, and earning that money, then you'll have to pay the taxes in the US, right? But if you're online, working remotely from Jamaica, Bali, Colombia, then you don't have to pay US taxes. Foreign entrepreneurs may not owe US taxes if income is sourced outside the US, as I said, because you're sourcing the money from outside the US. And it's important to understand the tax treaties and consult a tax professional. No, I won't lie to you. I've had mixed reviews from tax professionals locally and tax professionals in the US, right? And I've seen where some of these companies charge their clients fees for US taxes, even though the client isn't supposed to pay any US taxes. So when you're getting consultation, make sure you find the right person, make sure you research as well, so that when you're going on a discovery call with these people, you know the right questions to ask and they don't take you for a fool and scam you out of your money. Also, if you're consulting someone locally, make sure that they're aware of the tax treaty between Jamaica and the US, because you don't want to be double taxed, because it makes no sense you pay taxes in the US and taxes in Jamaica. You'll be left with no money. Now let's jump to the next slide. Common mistakes to avoid. Not appointing a reliable registered agent. Now, you can use a friend or family's home address in the US, right? But let me tell you why that is a bad idea. Now, as I said, the address, the registered agent address, is somewhere where someone is physically available to collect any document that is provided to you. So, also, because that address becomes public knowledge, all kind of mail will be sent to that address. So scams, legal documents, or just general mail, the people will still start getting a lot of unwanted documents. So a lot of persons, even Americans, try to avoid using their home address as registered agent address and get a registered agent service for this. Now, registered agent fees vary. If you go directly to the registered agent, it is cheaper. However, if you use third-party platforms to form your LLC, then you'll have to pay a little bit more money. But the general fee for the month could range from and when I say general, I'm referring to if you're using a registered agent directly or using a service that provides registered agent, can range from anywhere between $3 to $10 per month. And you know, the figures vary if you decide to do this annually. Now, the next thing to avoid is neglecting to maintain proper accounting records. Because even though you don't pay taxes to the IRS, you still have to file your report every year with the IRS. So I have a video on that. So if you have a US LLC or you're interested in starting a US LLC, then I can share that video with you so you know exactly what to do when filling out the forms to submit to the IRS. Now, as I mentioned, failing to understand your tax obligations and not setting up a proper operating agreement. Now, if you're a single member LLC, you really don't need to pay attention to your operating agreement. So the operating agreement is basically for those that are multi-member LLCs, right? And one of the things with an operating agreement, you can always add and remove members from the LLC. And notice I said members, not managers, right? If you're going to remove a manager, you would need to file an amendment with the state. However, if you're just removing a member, then that is an internal process. Nothing, the state does need to be aware of that. So again, using Jermaine as example, if Jermaine decides to give me 1% stake in L.E.A.R.N or Invest, then he doesn't need to file anything with the state. He just needs to update the operating agreement. Both of us sign on it, and that's it. But as I said, if it's a manager, make sure you file the amendment with the state. You can't change that unless an amendment has been filed with the state. So the operating agreement basically is just a guide to govern the LLC. And that's why I said it's more suited to multi-member LLCs compared to single-member LLC. Because you're a single person, you really don't need, as long as you have your checks and balances, you're good to go, because the operating agreement is an internal document. Now, the companies that I mentioned, well, I didn't mention their name, but the third-party companies, 99.9% of them do provide you with an operating agreement. So that comes as part of the package. However, if you decide you want to go at it alone and form your LLC using the Secretary of State's website in whichever state that you're doing it, then you would need to either one, hire a lawyer to create an operating agreement, especially if you're a multi-member LLC, and that is way more expensive than using these third-party platforms. Or, in 2024, since we've evolved so much, you use Chat GPT to create your operating agreement. Now, this is a case study. Carlos from Mexico formed the LLC in Wyoming, enabling him to contract with US clients and open a business bank account with ease. This allowed him to scale his freelance graphic design business internationally. So, as I mentioned, you might have US clients, but it also allows you to scale in Europe and other places, because, as I said, once you have a US business, no matter where you're located in the world, people will trust that business even more. No matter where your clients are, people trust the business even more. And especially for countries where they're high on scamming, right? People are skeptical with doing wire transfers to that country, even if it's a business account. They're skeptical in doing wire transfers to your business account in that country. So the best option is to have a US LLC, have a US business bank account, and then they can send the money there. And it usually, depending on what they're using, there's no fee. So whatever you agree on, that's exactly what you'll get in your account. You'll only pay a fee when you're transferring your money to your bank in your home country. And that's another benefit of the bank. You can transfer the fees from your US business bank account to your local bank account. So the last time I checked, it was around 20 US dollars. So it doesn't matter the amount of money you're transferring, it would be 20 US dollars thereabout to transfer to Jamaica. But I think changes are being made, and it will be done on a percentage basis. So if you're transferring X, you might pay a certain percentage, and if you're transferring Y, you might also pay a different percentage. Now, how much does it cost, right? So let's talk money. How much does it cost? Formation fees vary by state. $50 up to $500, right? And again, the states charge different fees. The state makes their own fees. So whether you're using a third party platform or you're doing it directly on the IRS, not the IRS, the Secretary of State's website, expect a different fee in every state. Now, the registered agent fee per year on average is $50 to around $300. And again, this is dependent on who you're using. So as I say, it's a business and people are in it to make money. So as I mentioned earlier, the EIN is free. However, if you're using a third party company to do the formation, the EIN is a part of their service. So for example, say I have a third party company and let's call it ABC Filings, right? My service fee could be $199. And let's say you want to register a LLC in Florida, and Florida's fee is $200. So 199 plus 200. That is what? 399, right? And that does not include the registered agent. So you have to look for the fine prints as well to make sure that you're not overpaying for all of these. Some will hide the registered agent fee in there, while others will tell you that it's not included. And if you want it as an added on feature, then you'll pay additional $50, $60, $90, again, depending on the company you're using. Now, as I said, if you decide to go the EIN, the LLC formation route by yourself, then you can easily apply for the EIN using the IRS's website if you have a social security number, or filling out the SS4 form if you're a foreign resident and you need to send it by fax. Now, as I mentioned, additional costs, the operating agreement, banking fees, legal consultations. Now, again, legal consultations, if you're doing a business formation and you're using a lawyer, chances are they will charge you consultation fees initially, right? But majority of the third-party platforms that register LLC usually give you a free consultation, whether it's a call or if you prefer live chat. So those are the things you need to look into. If you're unsure about certain things, make sure you use their chat system. So if you see something come up and you're not sure, always send them a chat or give them a call if they have a phone number, or wait, don't rush the process. Wait and explore your options, or find me and ask me if I think this is a good deal, and I will let you know. Now, let's move to the next slide. Some frequently asked questions. Now, question one, do I need a physical US address? The answer is no, but you need a registered agent, as I mentioned. So the registered agent address will be the physical address, right? And the purpose of the registered agent is where important documents are sent by the state, number one, or by someone if you're getting sued, right? So if you check on the other side of the screen where it says terms, registered agent is an individual or entity designated by an LLC to receive legal documents such as lawsuits or official government notices on behalf of the company. The registered agent must have a physical address, not a PO box, in the state where the LLC is formed or registered to do business. Now, the registered agent, that's another thing. I did mention this earlier, but the registered agent must be in the state where you're filing the LLC, right? And back in the day when I used to handle this day in, day out, persons are registering their LLC in Wyoming, but their registered agent is in Florida. As I said, it makes no sense, right? But on the flip side, the business address can be in Florida, but the registered agent address must be in the state where the LLC is filed. So the business address can be anywhere. So when you're filling out the form to file your LLC, and it asks you for your business address, if you're in Jamaica, put your home address, or if you already have a business and it has a legal address in Jamaica, you can use that address. The next thing, let's go back to frequently asked questions. Can I open a US account remotely? I think I answered this already. Yes, some banks and services allow it, but it may require extra steps. Now, going back to the side in black, now State compliance is something that you need to do every year. Now, this refers to the legal requirements that an LLC must meet to remain in good standing with the state where it was formed. This includes filing annual reports, paying state fees, maintaining accurate records, and adhering to state-specific laws or regulations. Failure to meet the compliance obligations can result in penalties, fines, or even dissolution of the LLC. Now, if you don't file the annual report by a particular time, the LLC you'll attract late fee or a penalty. Um, if a certain time period passes and you don't do it any at all, then the state has the power to dissolve that LLC. And if you want to open a new LLC in the future, you would need to clear up the debt that you owe on this current LLC, right? Um, so, and after a certain time period passes, then someone would be able to use that name, not the same business, because they could um, register a totally different business model under that name. So these are some things you need to look out for. State compliance is usually, in most states, it's on the anniversary date of when you file the LLC. So today is October 29. So if I should form an LLC in Wyoming today, then my annual report would be due October 29, 2025, right? Some states, they have a specific date on which you're supposed to file this annual report. And the annual report is nothing hard. Um, and a lot of persons often confuse it with taxes, but let me make it simple. The annual report is filed with the state, taxes is filed with the IRS, right? The tax form. So even though you're not paying taxes, as I said, as in you're not exchanging any cash to the IRS, you still need to file your taxes with them. And I think that's my last one, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah. So that's it. So how to contact me? You can find me on Instagram. I am Stephen Stanbury. LinkedIn, Stephen Stanbury. Just search Stephen Stanbury. Or email, I'm Stephen Stanbury at gmail.com. So now I think that's it, Jermaine. We are now open to questions,
All
concerns,
right.
comments. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm watching this and I'm like, where were you when I first registered? Because you would have saved me a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But you did help me to salvage my my situation
Hmm.
earlier this year.
And
So
save some money.
yeah, and save a lot of money. Save a
Yeah.
lot of money. So I wanted to talk to just kind of tie it together for persons, right? Because I know we went through a couple of slides, but it's really a very simple process.
Yeah.
It in most cases can be done within maybe 2 days, 3 days max. Because the first service that I used, I think I was attracted to them because they offer to do everything in one kind of automated process,
Hmm.
which is a valuable service for persons.
Yeah.
So when I started that process, they had everything in one platform. So it was step by step. Once you went to step one, they told you what step three, four, five
Mhm.
was. Once you completed step two, they sent you to another link. You do everything. So that's kind of a premium service, I'd say. I just didn't know that there were cheaper options out there, and I
Yeah.
didn't know how
That's
simple the process was.
Yeah, and the cheaper options is still have the same step-by-step guides,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But it all comes down to money. And one of the other thing is that you have some that they might give you this express service where you pay more money, and then a regular service where you have to wait an extended period
yes,
of time.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
off the top of my head, like I've seen cases where they might sell you um a long period for Wyoming, but Wyoming only takes one business day. right? So they might delay filing the LLC because you didn't pay for Express, right? Or they might file it and keep it until a particular period to send it to you. So Wyoming is one business day. New York is one business day. Well, literally 15 minutes. That's
Yeah.
how quick
But
New York is. Yeah.
it really just comes down to what people know, because I see a lot of sites, a lot of prices. I even saw
Yeah.
some that were more expensive than the one I chose.
Yeah.
And it's just because people don't know, they want to register the business, and they would take anyone who would offer to help them. So I mean, it's just one of those things. The truth is, when I compare both processes, it still feels easier in the US, I must say,
Yeah, we agree. All
because
right.
of how much you can do online. And
Yeah.
that's a part for me, because I don't know the last time you went to the company's office in Jamaica. I literally had to leave there because I was waiting so long.
So long. Yeah.
So it was just not a thing for a certain type of person where, I mean, and I've had persons say to me, they've filled out the form that the company's office of Jamaica gives to them. They'll go there, and they have to come back because something is incorrect. They make all the changes, they come back, somebody sends them back again because they have to make some more changes. So it almost feels like you hear information directly from the source, and you still have things that you need to change. And so usually I just lean on a service, or I lean on my co-founder to
Mhm.
take care of that stuff, because
Yeah.
it can feel kind of overwhelming for
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't have the appetite for that stuff.
Mhm. Oh, one of the things I failed to mention was in terms of banking. You know, I formed my bank account so long ago, but probably you can help me. When you submit your banking information, the application, were you required to upload an ID with your passport?
I'm trying to remember. I think so. I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah,
I remember, but I would say that opening the account, the bank account, was extremely easy.
yeah.
I was
So
shocked at how quickly I was able to get
yeah.
that done.
So that's one of the things that people need to know. So if for some reason your bank account application was rejected, don't go back to the company that formed the LLC and tell them they can't help you.
Yeah.
This is something that probably in your documentation. Um, Again, I've seen instances where, and it depends on the company where you're from, right? So the first thing you need to know, even though Jamaica is not on any blocked list. Um, but if you're from a particular country and you want to use X Bank, you need to check the bank to see if they accept applications from Jamaica or Trinidad or wherever. Because it makes no sense you apply if your country is not there, because it will be instantly rejected. And also when you're uploading pictures of your ID, preferably, I think it's your passport that they require. I'm not sure they accept driver's license or national ID. But if it's your
The
passport,
passport,
yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
make sure that the image is clear, um, and make sure the information is accurate. Because 90% of the times, it's not physical eyes that are reviewing your
Yeah.
application,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
some automation.
Yeah.
And then um, the automation will decide whether or not this is okay. Then if it was rejected and you decide to dispute it, then someone would physically
Yeah.
review it.
Yeah.
There's another thing I need to mention in regards to the EIN. No, when I say if you have a social security number, you can get the EIN online like within a couple minutes, right? Now, again, automation. However, for those of us who don't have a social security number and we have to send it by fax, the reason the backlog affects us so much is that somebody has to physically pick up the paper from the fax machine, look at that SS4, ensure that everything is okay, and then assign the EIN number to that person and then send it back by fax. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know why in 2024 it's so complicated to register a company. I
Jamaica.
just, no, man, I
Well,
actually, I still think you see, because on both sides I'm talking now, because the forms try to accommodate so many different scenarios. I think this is a perfect use case for AI, by the way.
Yeah.
Meaning, I think I should be able to say, I'm Jermaine McDonald. I'm from the Jamaica from Jamaica. I want to register a business that does one, two, three, and then you can tell me, what exactly I need to do in a simple way.
Yeah.
Because even when you helped me to file the annual report, there were still a lot of things
You need to
that
check.
I felt was incomplete because
Mhm.
the forms were so long, the fields were, I mean, you told me exactly what to tick and go through, so that was helpful. But if
Mhm.
I was looking at that by myself, I would feel like I would have done something wrong or left something
Yeah.
off simply because it was just such a long form, right? I get intimidated by long forms. I
Yeah.
don't want to be filling out 3, 4 pages of something and just feel like I'm going to make a mistake and I'm going to have to pay more money than I need to because I checked the wrong box or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. And in regards to, as you mentioned, long forms, we want to let the viewers know that it's no long form to do the actual LLC
For
formation,
sure, for sure.
right? So if you're using a third party, the first thing you need to do, outside of picking the state, I'm referring to the information that you need to enter into their system. Um, Most of them will ask you for 3 name suggestions: your first choice, your second choice, your third choice. And the reason being is that if your first choice is rejected, they don't want to come back to you and delay the process. They
Yeah.
just want to jump to the next name in queue and file it so you can get it as soon as possible. The only other thing you need to enter is, well, we know you're going to use them for the registered agent. You need to enter the name of the member or members, decide the percentage, who gets 100%. If it's a, well, if it's a single member, it's 100%. If it's multiple member, 80-20, 50-50, whatever, you name it.
Yeah.
And the address of those members, and that's it. You hit submit, right? So no need for an ID when you're applying when you're forming a US LLC. You don't need an ID. The only time an ID will come into play is when you're doing the banking.
All right. So I'm pausing to see if there are any questions. Thank you so much, Stephen. This was quite a bit of information, more than I had planned for. So thank you for that. Just to acknowledge, because there's a question asked by Devin
Yeah.
on Instagram. Why are we teaching about registering a US LLC? Is this an American platform or Jamaican? And I answered him on Instagram, but I thought I'd answer it over on YouTube as well. What we want to do is empower persons to be able to do both, right? We did start our channel based on investing in Jamaica and understand certain things in Jamaica. But if you've seen, we've covered how to invest in the US market, how to open a US brokerage account, and that's because we have a great opportunity to leverage right here in Jamaica services and platforms and
Mhm.
options that are in the US. And it's in lot of, in a few cases a lot easier to do that because of how further down the road the US is in terms of things that they've implemented, because they're serving like a lot more people, so they've
Mhm.
had to optimize, right? It's not like tax office where maybe we in Jamaica, I don't know, process maybe 5,000 or 10,000 persons per day. In the US, you probably have to service thousands.
Yeah.
So they have to speed things along in an automated way, and I think that's why they've come so far, because of just the volume that they've done.
Mhm.
So I think if we have access to it, we should take advantage of it,
Yeah.
especially if we're getting the right guidance.
Yeah.
So
And that money will be spent in Jamaica. So whatever you earn from that US business won't be spent in the US, right? Because
yeah,
for small fries like us, that is. And when I say small fries, you have to look at the expansion of Juicy Patties,
yes,
right? A
yes.
Jamaican company expanding in the US. And if my memory serves me correctly, Grace themselves are registered
You have
in the
quite a
US.
few companies on the local
Yeah,
stock exchange that actually do business in the US as well. So
yeah.
that's I think Tropical Battery registered a US LLC last year, and we saw them acquire a company earlier this year. So
Yeah.
I have a question from Ricky on Instagram. What if you have an ITIN rather than an SN? I think that's
Yeah.
maybe social
Yeah.
security number,
Yeah.
maybe.
So ITIN or ITIN, whichever way, yes, you can use that to get to speed up the process for your EIN. So where it says social security number on that SS4 form, you can put the ITIN number there to get your EIN. If you're going to do Stripe, then you definitely have to get an ITIN. I think, right? You
I
that's
don't
what you,
remember,
yeah, I think so.
but I know I have Stripe, so I
Yeah,
don't remember.
I
I know
think you have
once the company was registered, again, that was one of the services that I was able to sign up for right
yeah,
away. So yeah, I really don't see, because I do
yeah,
this like once in a while. I don't
yeah,
remember it as often as much
yeah.
as somebody
And
who uses
and
it.
that's another thing too. There are a lot of Jamaican companies. Going back to the question you got on Instagram, a lot of Jamaican companies open a US company just for the Stripe access, right? Because
Yes, yes,
it's
yes.
such an easy payment processor that you can
That could
use,
be
and
a
it
whole video,
Yeah,
honestly.
and you can
It is.
easily integrate it into your platform. So 90% of the webs, somebody, well, not someone, I think they said that even Amazon is linked to Stripe, but because they've built out their payment page in such a way you don't notice that it's Stripe. But
Yeah.
generally, for the rest of businesses that use it, you'll see the Stripe pop up at the bottom of the page when you enter the payment details.
Okay. All right. So I think that's it. I'm not seeing any more questions. Thank you so much, Stephen. I'll share again the slide for persons to be able to contact you.
Yep.
And of course, again, very, very helpful to work with Stephen. He'll save you a lot of time. You just have to, I think it's better to ask for help
Yeah.
before you start the process, just in case you come up on a deadline and then you need somebody to help right away, and then you have to wait a day or two. Right. So I actually see a question here. Lanestra, I'm looking to register my company, but I'm not sure the tax implications. Lanestra, is that for the US or Jamaica? Because we just covered the US one. We're about to start on Jamaica. But for tomorrow, we'll have somebody on to talk about the accounting implications and the legal implications in Jamaica. So if it's on the Jamaica side, come back tomorrow. If it's on the US side, okay, it's Jamaica. So join tomorrow, because it's a 3-day challenge. So we're
Yeah.
covering different things over different days. Stephen, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I'll see you soon.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
All right. So, blessed one, you're welcome. You're welcome. We really want to empower persons to be able to take control of their wealth. And as I said, running your own business is a great way to do that. There are some challenges to the process, but overall, I think it's better if you're able to have that set up and done the right way. So yeah, so let me set the stage by taking a short break and then going back into the next segment.
The Grow Your Wealth Conference is almost here. If you're a seasoned or aspiring entrepreneur ready to elevate your business and personal finances by learning from experienced, impactful, world-class entrepreneurs, then this conference is for you. Grow Your Wealth is happening over 2 days in Kingston, Jamaica, with unique speakers, business networking opportunities, actionable teachings, a business pitch competition, and access to an engaged community. So save the date and get your tickets now. Tickets and more information are available at learngrowinvestconference.com.
All right. So, as I said, this Start Your Own Business Challenge is sponsored by our Grow Your Wealth Conference. The conference is a month away. And as a part of this challenge, just by watching this video and being a part of it, we're giving you access to our best discount possible. on tickets. So you're able to get tickets 50% off if you purchase by the end of the challenge. So the challenge ends in 2 days. If you purchase your tickets for the conference anytime before then, you get them at 50% off. So that's our best price possible. And so I'll share here that you can get your tickets at learngrowinvestconference.com. We have 3 types of tickets. You have online. So if you're outside of Jamaica or even outside Kingston, you can get your online tickets. You have in-person tickets, and then you have VIP tickets. And the prices for the tickets are 150 US for online, 300 US for in-person, and 500 US for VIP. You know, it's a 2-day conference. Your meals are covered for the in-person tickets. VIPs get access to a special breakfast on Saturday morning with a special session and a signed copy of a book by our keynote speakers, who you're seeing on the top of the screen there. And trust me, I said to somebody last week that the cost that you see for the tickets, any one of the sessions would be valued that amount of money. So really, it's a great opportunity. The special price that I mentioned, though, would be less than what you're seeing on the screen. So you'd actually get online for $100, in person for $200, and VIP for $350. And that price you'd get access to latest Thursday at the point of this video being recorded. Of course, you may be watching this on the replay, and so I'm not sure what the prices will be at that point. And of course, we'll be having this conference every year. So if you're watching this years down the line, just check our conference website and you'll be able to see what the current prices are for that year's conference. You can get more details about the conference on the website, some information on our keynotes and our speakers. It's a great conference, right? So you can find more information there. So I wanted to jump back into our presentation. So we're doing a 3-day challenge. So similar to the investment challenge that we did earlier this year, which we are going to be repeating for 2025, by the way. So we covered registering a company in the US just now. We're about to start going through the process for Jamaica. I'm going to keep this one very simple though. I'm going to start with the company's website. I'm showing you how to search to see if the name you have in mind is available. And then I'm going to go through 2 websites which will help you to kind of go through the process of registering. And then of course, for any other information, of course, come out for tomorrow and the day after to answer some of those questions that may come up. And then of course, on the 3rd day, we're going to be covering how to create your brand identity, doing things like, creating your logo, starting on social media, etc. Just things that we think may help you get started. And again, the things that we hear, persons ask questions on all the time, right? So I went through these 5 questions before. I asked you why you'd want to start a business. You have to answer that question. Went into, do you have a product or service that you believe is valuable? And that's going to be important to answer. You have to really be able to find somebody who values that product or service. Then we spoke about finding a niche to serve. So do you have a segment of customers that your product or service is for? And then we spoke about you testing the idea and finding customers who are willing to pay. If you have no paying customers, you really don't have a business. So you have to find persons who aren't your family or friends who will actually spend money. And I saw a question from Humble Boss earlier asking, how do you find someone to purchase it? There are many ways to go through that. The simplest way, you can start on your social media platforms. A lot of persons start businesses that way. Of course, if you're not very social, meaning you don't use social media a lot, if you just come out and want to start a business, selling something, you might not have built up any trust with your audience before they would take out their money and spend with you. So you have to think about that, of course. And then I mentioned spending some time to research those who are willing to spend money with you. right? So that's a whole process that I spoke about before. And then after you've meet those steps, then I'd say go ahead and register the company. So what Stephen took us through was the option to register in the US. And then of course I'll be talking about now how to do it for Jamaica. So there are 3 websites, as I mentioned, you can use. So I'm on the Companies Office of Jamaica website, which is a place that you'd go to register in Jamaica. Now you can't fully do the process online at the point of recording this video, but there is a lot of information online that you can access, which is good. And there are sites like JamPro, like Do Business Jamaica, that will give you valuable information. There have been numerous articles written over the years that you can find on Google to help you take some of the basic steps. And of course, I have seen a few Jamaican YouTubers covering this as well. And I've also seen services that are there to help you with the process, right? I don't know the costing or anything like that. So I do know that there are persons who can help you, right? So what I had to do, or what I normally do, is as I'm thinking about a company name, I go to the company's Office of Jamaica website and I'll search for the name that I'm looking for. Now, what I've found is that you have to register. Well, you have to search for the name specifically that you're looking for, right? So in my case, if I search for Learn, Grow, Invest, I would not see any results. But if I search for Learn, Grow, Invest Limited, which is the name of my company here in Jamaica, that's when I see results. I'm going to search for Learn, Grow, Invest Limited, and you'll see how long it takes to generate the results, which is it's actually quite quick, right? So of course the first one is mine. So this is our registered company, L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest Limited, and this is public information, by the way, so I don't have to worry about hiding anything here. And then of course I'm able to see some of the other companies registered with names that are potentially close to mine, which is actually an important step to go through, right? So it shows you the date that it was registered. So we're registered as a company in May of 2022. So we've been registered for 2 years now. And of course you can scroll through, and there are a lot of pages, up to 20 here, with different names or variations of this name. So what you want to do, I remember when I registered my very first company, the name was Max PC Sales and Service, and a lot of persons confused it with MacD's, which was, I think, a car place here in Jamaica. So a lot of persons thought it was MacD's or some other name I can't remember right now. So you want to search for a name that is unique enough, that's clear and easy to understand, because there are persons who, when they call, or when I call them and say, this is Jeremy McDonald from L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, they're asking me from, there's another company called Think Grow Lead in Jamaica. They're always, sometimes asking me if I'm Jermaine from Think Grow Lead. I'm like, no, L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest is our name. So just choose a name that is easy to understand and remember, and that persons can not have any confusion around understanding. Right? And then we have a next site called dobusiness.gov.jm that breaks down the process to registering a business. I was going to do slides until I found this site that I think breaks it down pretty clearly. So they have some steps over the left here. I'm only going to cover the very first one, which is registering a business. So it gives you some information here. Essentially, you're choosing between 2 basic structures, and again, tomorrow we'll get into some of the more nuance about it. But you can register a company, or you can register just a business name, as it says in this case. Let me see if I can zoom in here. You can see it a little bit better. So for my first company, which was Max PC, I registered a sole proprietorship. That was me doing business as Max PC Sales and Service, right? Sole proprietorship has its limitations. You want to choose that option carefully. What I say to persons is that if you want to limit your liability, then register a limited liability company, right? So that you can shield yourself from any liabilities that may be incurred, and you separate yourself from the business. When you're a sole trader, you are the business. So there are cases that you may not have certain opportunities because you're a sole trader. All right, I won't get into them now, but just understand that there's a difference. So right below here, it mentions a process. It's a 5-step process. So you want to determine your business name and structure. And as I said, for day 2, we'll get into some of what that structure may be, but you're thinking about how you want to structure this company, right? It could be a sole proprietorship, it could be a partnership, it could be a corporation. You want to know what structure will work for what you're trying to do. Maybe you have partners and you're trying to figure out that structure, what it should look like. If it's a partnership, I've heard many horror stories about partnerships. So what I think is a good in-between option is what's called a joint venture. I've actually done one of those before. That's a good way to prevent from having to register a business with someone when you're not sure if it will work out. Because in a partnership, you will have certain considerations in terms of filing, taxes, etc. All right, so a joint venture may be a good option there, but I'm not the lawyer, so we'll differ there. So once you choose your legal structure and name, it will determine which forms you need to fill out. So if you go there and you ask them, you say that you want to register a certain type of business, they'll tell you what you need to fill out. And once you, of course, this is assuming that you're going to search for a name, you may be able to, it says here, reserve a name, which you will then be able to use for the registration process. Then you have to complete these steps below. All right, so you need to visit the offices or go online, complete and submit the form. Then you can request for name search and name reservation. That's what it mentions here. It mentions a fee here at the time of this recording. Again, this may change in the future. So $500 here, and the name reservation cost is for $3,000. Upon that process being completed within 1 working day of the form being submitted, they will inform you whether or not you have the opportunity to get that name. And then if the form was submitted via email, they will inform you in 2 to 3 working days. As I said, I've gone to the company's office before. If you're going, go early, just in case you want to get it done quickly. And if requested at the time of submission, your selected name will also be reserved for a period of 90 days. All right. Then you have step 2. It shows you the forms that you need to complete. Of course, again, you can ask them which form is best for you based on the type of company that you're registering. Once you go through the form, as I said, I've had just an interesting experience here, meaning how you complete the form. I really think if it's your first time doing it, sorry, it may be best to ask for help. Find someone who you trust. One of the first things we did as L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest is get a lawyer and get an accountant, right? Because they made the process very easy to be able to register, answer any questions that we have, etc. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't have any corrections that you need to make from time to time, because of course these things are updated and changed as time goes on. But finding someone to help you does make it a lot easier. And then, of course, the form must be signed by the directors or any person declaring the accuracy, or the person declaring the accuracy of the information submitted. And then, of course, if you don't have a TRN, it shows you here how to acquire that TRN, because the business will have a TRN as well. And then, of course, let me see if I'm leaving out anything. So depending on the type of company you're doing. So for a company, you'll need articles of incorporation. So for example, we had to do that for L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest Limited. Then we had to complete the form here. And then there's a business registration form. So it was my co-founder who did it. So I'm speaking, of course, from a very, very high level. All right. So step 3, once you've submitted, you can go to the company's office. I believe there's a location in Montego Bay as well. I also heard of a service, I don't know if they still do it, but during the pandemic, I saw them do a video that mentioned that sometimes they'll have like pop-ups where they go to like plazas or certain places and offer the service for persons to register their company. We are actually hoping to be able to have somebody from company's office at our conference as well, just in case you have any questions about registering a company, etc. And step 4, you pay the relevant processing fees. So I believe these fees that you're seeing here is just for registering a company. I think the sole proprietor cost may be different. So this is 24,500 for the regular service. Next day service is 27,500, and same day service is 30,500. Honestly, if you're in no rush, just use the regular service, because I'm not sure there may be an actual distinction for the service here. Well, it says processing times, but again, I would say if you're in no rush, just take the standard service. Then, of course, you will collect your certificate and articles of incorporation. So for me, I had to use these documents, for example, when I'm signing up with vendors, if I'm working, let's say, for a government client and I need my business information. If I'm needing to, let's say, open a bank account, I'll need my TRN for, in terms of paying statutories, etc. You need to get the other pieces of information. A TCC is a tax compliance certificate. And so these are things that you'll need to think about after you've registered. And you want to be able to manage this very well. We could go into an entire conversation about how to manage statutories, how to manage, how we should hire employees, etc. Are we going to touch on that in the conference? Yes, we are actually going to. So a lot of things to consider, right? That's why we're doing the challenge, to make it easier for you. And then finally, I had this website here that's Kingston Creative, that shows some of the benefits of registering your business. I'll only speak about a few of them, but what I've come to learn is that there are a lot of grants and services available for persons who are registered that aren't really taken advantage of. Now, I must say, sometimes the process is very complicated, and that's why persons don't leverage it more. But again, there are persons whose job it is to help you with it. So of course, if it makes sense, you can do that. But what I say is that if you're able to maybe spend a week or two to put together some information, make a submission to get a grant for 300,000, 400,000, sometimes up to $1 million to help your business, then of course I think it would be worth it. So in terms of benefits of registering, it does allow you the opportunity to be able to protect your brand. So it's the first step in doing that. And one of the things we had to do as L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest is go to Jam Pro and ensure that the name L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest was actually being protected. So we registered a trademark for L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, and this would prevent, of course, persons from registering or using the same name for their product or service. So it's actually a very important step. It mentions here getting access to special grants. Of course, DBJ always seems to have something available. I think you can find more on their website. From time to time, it will be advertised on social media. I would say also as well, if you want to work with, so for example, for my first business, which was a computer sales and service business, I needed to register with a distributor. So I needed to have a registered company to be able to do that. It gives you, it's the first step in becoming tax compliant. And of course, as I said, there are many ways to navigate this part. Speak to an accountant before you do anything. I mentioned Jaipur before, where you can go to ensure that you have trademark, any patent or copyright that you need to do. And let me see if there's anything else worth highlighting here. Yeah, that's what I'll leave it at for now. All right. So those are the steps to register a company in Jamaica. I don't know if you have any questions, really. Let me check on Instagram. And as I mentioned, what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to speak to an accountant, we're going to speak to a lawyer to be able to help you to fill some of those gaps that you may have or questions relating to this process. But those sites that I share with you, I'll link them in the description over on YouTube. So be sure to check out that video if you want these links. And of course, you can feel free to rewatch the video. We leave it up. You just have to bear in mind that if you're watching this past the date of the conference or past the date of the special offer, you're gonna have to reach out to us to see what the best price ticket that you can get for our conference. But our conference is really the next step that we're going to recommend that you take after this 3-day challenge, because the conference is designed to help you make the most of you starting that business and just helping you with the things that you need along that journey. All right. So are there any questions, guys, that you have about starting a business? If you're in business now, actually, go ahead and share your business name in the chat. If you're thinking about starting a business, let me know as well. I'd love to hear from you. And we do have an entrepreneurship channel in our Telegram group that you're more than welcome to join us. And, that is a place where persons can ask questions. Occasionally, persons may ask if they can highlight their company by sharing a flyer or something. That's no problem for us once it's approved by an admin. And so we really want to give the entrepreneurs in our community space to, talk about their business and get the help that they need. Okay. So since there are no questions, I'm going to thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you at our conference in 30 days. And just let me know if you have any questions, send me a DM or anything. I'll put the information for Stephen in the description as well. So you can just click it and send him an email if you have to. But he's creating content on LinkedIn almost daily now. So LinkedIn is a great platform to reach out to him. He's also in our Telegram group if you need to connect with him there. And I'm looking forward to hear about your business and seeing if we can maybe find a way to work together one day.
The Grow Your Wealth Conference is almost here. If you're a seasoned or aspiring entrepreneur ready to elevate your business and personal finances by learning from experienced, impactful, world-class entrepreneurs, then this conference is for you. Grow Your Wealth is happening over 2 days in Kingston, Jamaica, with unique speakers, business networking opportunities, actionable teachings, a business pitch competition, and access to an engaged community. So save the date and get your tickets now. Tickets and more information are available at learngrowinvestconference.com.